4 submission reveals over the last 2 weeks. Was it worth it, or was it a big waste of money and a waste of time? Let's look into the details today on this episode of DIY Sports Cards. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of DIY Sports Cards, a production of IconicTradingCards.com. This is a place where we take a deep dive into the buying and selling of sports cards for collectors and investors alike. I'm Ramon, founder of this channel. How y'all doing? I hope you're all having a great start to this long Memorial Day weekend. As you can tell here in Georgia, the weather is gorgeous. Might be a little warm, but hey, looking forward to it. At least I'm not working, and that's a positive. In my previous videos, you have seen 4 submission reveals, 3 of them from PSA, 1 from SGC. Of those 3 PSA submissions, 2 of them were sent out in April of this year. 1 was sent out in April of 2021. The SGC submission was also sent out in April. Now we've got these cards back. I showed you the grades and I showed you the outcomes. Today, I want to go through the numbers, look at the numbers, and see if this was really worth the effort. Let's have a look at these numbers. All right, best thing to do is just to dive right in. Okay, so today we're just gonna look at inside the numbers at the recent reveals. We're gonna really look at the dollars, the benefits, the gains, the losses, who I bought from, what eras of cards were purchased, did they deliver gains, or was this just a waste of time? I think this information you'll find very appealing. All right, so the first thing we're gonna look at is how many cards were sent in. As you recall, I sent in 85 cards to be graded. 81 of them came back as returned. Remember, there was a few in there that were not graded. 58 of them were from PSA. 23 were from SGC. Why 81 cards and not 85? Remember, there were a few that were not graded. PSA was calling them recolored. They were calling them miscut. So those cards are being resubmitted to SGC. There are some other ones I'm also going to have resubmitted to SGC because I think the grade that was revealed was a little bit lower than what I expected. And I'm too stubborn to think that that's the right answer. Now going back to it, the ones that I'm resubmitting are the 1954 Bowman Willie Mays and the 1959 Topps Mickey Mantle. Those are going to be pulled out of the PSA slabs and sent over to SGC. Now to get more specific, if you look at the PSA mantle and compare it to the SGC mantle that I also received, both of these cards graded the same. However, if you look at the corners and you look at the centering, you will see that the one in the PSA is far more centered and the corners are a lot sharper. Now you may come back and say, but wait, the one in the SGC slab is actually a lot brighter in shine and appeal. While that's true, but that's really more of the camera work. Because if you actually look at the cards, they're very, very similar in color and basically aging. So I'm really hoping to see that PSA card come back to a 4, 4.5. Probably not a 5, but that would be cool if it did, if that happened. All right, the magic number here is 80.4%. Now this represents the percent of cards that will be delivering gains as per the latest comp and even recent sales. So if you had 81 cards here, basically 16 of them are delivering losses. The balance, the other 65, are actually going to show gains. Not a bad percentage of success. The ones that show 16%, we'll get into that a little bit more as to why those did not deliver the gains that I'd hoped. Let's go deeper. All right. You got the next number is 68.25%. This represents the percent gains in the aggregate. All 81 cards together, gain or loss, is going to generate a total percent gain of 68.25%. This is the number that I'm really excited about. This shows that the strategy actually works. If I can take cards and buy them raw and have them sent in for grading, and if they do come in at or above the condition I expect, it's going to go favorably for the overall value of my collection. Let's go a little bit deeper. So let's go a little deeper in the numbers. First thing I want to compare is what area is actually showing more success than others. In this case, let's look at the genre of cards. You got the vintage cards, You got the modern cards, and you got the ultra modern cards. Was there any one area that actually was more successful than the others? Actually, there was. The ultra modern card generated an 81.6% gain, modern was 70%, and vintage came in last at 60%. While that was last, that 60% is actually a more appealing number to me than the ultra modern, because what you're going to see is the ultra modern it actually overperformed because of one or two cards, as opposed to the vintage, where there is a larger distribution of cards that generated favorability. Does that make sense? Let's keep looking. All right, so there really wasn't significant difference on genre of cards. Let's look at the source of the card. Where did I buy these cards raw? Okay, there were three sources. You had the local card shop, you had eBay, and you had the card show. Want to guess which one delivered the best gains? All right, were you right? Here are the numbers. This is a staggering difference. While eBay and the card shows generated gains of 25 to 28%, it was the local card shop purchases that I made that generated the majority of the gains. And this is a staggering difference. If you look at these numbers, you have to ask the question, why is the local card shop so much more favorable to me than eBay and the card shows? It comes down to three words: truthfulness, trust, relationships. I have a better chance of establishing those three things with a local card shop than I do with an eBay seller and at a local card show or at a card show dealer. It's interesting that happens, and there's definitely a true value in establishing the relationships with who you're buying from that generates long-term and sustainable success over time. More on that later. So I've shown you the success of local card shops. Now let's go deeper into the cards that were the most successful. First, I'm going to show you the bottom five. These are the cards that actually performed the worst. These are the ones that didn't deliver the gains. In fact, I had a loss on them. Okay, so in the list, number 5 is Wander Franco Refractor. Can't talk. That was an 8.5, generated a negative 21% loss, or $30 loss. Number 4 is the Orange Prism Joe Burrow. I'm gonna say it. I just chased this card. This was right after the Super Bowl. I was hyped. I was thinking, man, I'm gonna do well with this card. Flip it quickly. Yeah, flipping doesn't work for me. This card not only came back at a grade 9, but it generated a loss of $155 or 39%. Not a good investment. Number 3, the rookie Dan Marino. Got caught up in the hype of a card show. 67% loss, $143 out of my pocket. Number 2, the 1940 play ball Tris Speaker. Yeah, I got nothing. That was just terrible. And the number 1 card is the 1956 Whitey Ford. I thought was a lot better than it actually graded. That one came in at a 75% loss or $156 out of my pocket. These kind of hurt. But a lot of these do have the same theme. What do many of these cards have in common? Well, Sesame Street today is brought to you by the number 4. What is number 4? Of the 5 worst cards that performed, 4 of them were purchased at local card shows, or at card. 4 of them were purchased at card shows. Folks, this comes back to the fact, I saw a card, I saw a cabinet, didn't establish a relationship with the person. I even found myself chasing, defying my strategy. This is why I failed. Do I blame the dealer in these cases? Not really. It's so important when you're going to buying these cards, when you're going into invest or anything that deals with you sending out money in hopes to gain more, you have to follow a strategy and you have to be consistent with that strategy. Deviation like I did here leads to the greater opportunity for losing money in the long term. And then if you don't establish the big 3, trust, truthfulness, or relationships, you double down on that opportunity. Failure is almost imminent when you don't follow your strategy and don't establish the trust. All right, but on the flip side, what did work in this strategy? Let's look. Okay, let's look at the top 5. So you saw the losses that were in the hundreds. What did this mean for the gains? All right, number 5 was that 1985 Hulk Hogan, grade 9, generated a 314% gain on the latest comp of $1,100. Big gain. Number 4 was the Juan Soto Topps Update Chrome Pink Refractor, grade 10. That gave me a $400 return on the latest comp of $1,200. Number 3 was the Kirill Kaprizov rookie card, the UD Canvas. That's the one I pulled out of the Target pack. So of course I'm going to have a 600% gain because the pack was $5. $275 gain, not bad. Not bad considering I spent $5 plus $30 in grading. Still take the return, not bad at all. Number 2 was that Look and See Babe Ruth. That one came back at an 800% gain on the latest comp of $1,573. And the number 1 card in this whole pack, in this whole collection, which surprised me for the record, was that 1958 Hank Aaron with the yellow letters. That generated a 1,150% gain on over what I purchased plus grading fees based on a latest comp of $1,750. This is why I showed net gains. This is just the top 5. The favorability of gains went down the list quite a bit. The Patrick Mahomes Select generated a 200% gain. There were plenty of cards between Patrick Mahomes on down to number 35 that showed gains in the triple digits. This is why I do this, because the gains are so significant. Now, what's even more curious is the next slide. Again, number 4, Sesame Street is brought to you by the number 4. What's so important about it on the gains? 4 of the top 5 cards that I bought raw all came from local card shops. So what is the point of all this exercise? The point is, there is money to be had. There is money to be made. These raw cards were not bought in a short time frame. They were bought. I started purchasing raw cards last May, right at the tail end of the initial spike in the current market, in the marketplace. I don't know if you remember that last year, where card prices just went crazy, and then they pretty much dropped ever since. Cards were bought during that time frame, not before, not after. Well, except for the Hulk Hogan, that actually came from my attic. So if you're buying through a down market, this is a proof that you can establish strategies to continue to build gains on your collection. I'm not saying profits, I am talking about gains. Because right now, if you're in a recession, chances are your prospective buyers, they're probably holding on to their money. It's just an opportunity to show. You've got a value, you've established it. There's enough data out there to continue to support what your value is. Even if the prices do go down and I lose value on the current collection, I'm still confident to think I'll have enough gain there that I can show profit at the time when I cash out. And what's the timing of me cashing out? Some I'm doing right now, but several I'm hanging on to until the market strengthens. You can do that if you're collecting the cards. Another thing I want to point out, it is so important, and I'll repeat it again, it is so very important in this industry to establish that trust and relationship with the buyers that you're dealing with. And for the love of God, be truthful, folks. There's no need to lie and say, oh my God, that's my Grail card. I really want to have that in my collection. And then flip that thing a day later for $5,000. That's not the relationship you want to build. Why lie to the person you're trying to transact with? All you're doing is, sure, you may have gotten that short-term gain, but long-term, I can guarantee you that seller will never deal with you again because he's going to feel played. If you want to be positive, tell the truth, be trustworthy, build the relationships. Otherwise, you're not helping anybody, and the only person you're doing favor for is yourself. Follow a strategy. Make sure it's credible. Mistakes happen. But if you can establish a success rate of 80% or above, in other words, 8 out of every 10 cards you buy builds long-term gains for you, you're doing very, very well. In fact, that's outperforming what many stock investors do on the market right now. 8 out of every 10. Is this an investment? Debate it. But at the end of the day, I don't really care whether people want to call this an investment or not. What I care about is I've established enough value in these cards that will sustain over time that when I am ready to sell, these will generate profits. And perhaps something that maybe helps support a lifestyle long term after I retire from my day job. Interesting stuff. In my next video, I'm going to go more into the details on strategy and why you do this and where the opportunities may lie. Because I think what you're going to find is you don't really have to hustle to kind of make this profits. There's definitely opportunity to really understand what you need to have, what foundation of knowledge you need to have in order to establish that long-term game, if that is in fact your goal. We'll talk about that in the next video. Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Be healthy. Hope you have a great Memorial Day. And we'll catch you at the next video. In the meantime, peace out.